Welcome to Wellness and Mindfulness Digest 2026-0610. Today's 11 stories. Story 1. Scientists studied human brain waves and found that this activity provides benefits in just 7 minutes. Story 2. A growing body of research finds that meditation may help reduce anxiety, manage stress, ease pain, and improve sleep. Story 3. I've never used this common cue when I teach yoga. Here's why. Story 4. 15-minute yoga to relax and release shoulder tension. Story 5. Exercise's proven stress-busting benefits include better sleep. Story 6. Mindfulness-Based Resilience Training MBSR Randomized Controlled Trial for Healthcare Workers. Story 7. 3 Breathwork Practices for Nervous System Regulation. Story 8. Beyond Breath Sky Breath Meditation Workshop Science-Backed Breathwork. Story 9. Concentration, Focus, and Memory How to do Hakini Mudra Yoga for Concentration. Story 10. Spiritual Wellness Top 5 Daily Practices for Inner Peace and Balance. Story 11. Sunrise Ocean Reset Community Breathwork Session for Nervous System Regulation. Story 1. Scientists studied human brain waves and found that this activity provides benefits in just 7 minutes. Today we are looking at a piece of wellness content from Ventuno Yoga, a popular social media channel focused on accessible yoga instruction. The post introduces Hakini Mudra, a traditional yogic hand gesture where the fingertips of both hands are pressed together, and pairs it with pranayama, which is the ancient Indian practice of controlled breathing. Together, these techniques are presented as tools for sharpening concentration, boosting memory, and achieving greater mental clarity in daily life. So what exactly is Hakini Mudra? In classical yoga tradition, it is associated with the Ajna chakra, sometimes called the third eye, which is philosophically linked to intuition, focus, and higher cognitive function. When combined with deliberate breathwork, practitioners are encouraged to engage in a mind-body ritual that, according to yogic philosophy, channels mental energy and improves awareness. The post frames all of this in a very practical, approachable way, the kind of content designed for someone scrolling through Facebook looking for quick wellness wins. Here is where things get nuanced. While pranayama and breathwork do have a growing body of scientific literature supporting their effects on the nervous system, stress reduction, and attention regulation, the specific claims around hand mudras directly improving memory remain largely unverified by Western clinical research. The post does not cite any studies, trials, or measurable outcomes. It presents ancient tradition as established fact, which is a pattern extremely common in social media wellness content. This matters because millions of people make daily health decisions based on content exactly like this. The wellness industry's tendency to blur the line between culturally rich spiritual practice and clinically validated health intervention can mislead well-meaning individuals. That said, yoga and breathwork are genuinely low-risk, often beneficial practices, and their growing mainstream popularity is not without merit. The key takeaway here is to engage with these practices with an open mind, but also with a critical eye toward what is tradition, what is philosophy, and what is science. Story 2. A growing body of research finds that meditation may help reduce anxiety, manage stress, ease pain, and improve sleep. This article from Acharya Manish's wellness platform outlines 5 daily practices for spiritual wellness, inner peace, and emotional balance. What makes it stand out from the typical self-help blog post is its explicit connection to Jina Sikko He MS, an integrative healthcare institution that treats spiritual health as a genuine component of patient care alongside conventional medicine. That is a meaningful distinction. It positions this content not just as lifestyle advice, but as part of a broader institutional health philosophy. The 5 practices recommended are morning meditation, gratitude and reflection, yoga or light exercise, time spent in nature, and a 5th practice that was unfortunately cut off in the available content. Each recommendation is framed simply and accessibly, aimed at people who may be new to these ideas or who are looking for quick, low-effort starting points. Meditation, for instance, is recommended for just 10 to 15 minutes per day, a deliberately low barrier to entry designed to make the practice feel achievable rather than overwhelming. Acharya Manish Jai, the spiritual authority behind the platform, is cited as the endorsing voice for both meditation and yoga, as tools for what the article calls spiritual healing. This guru-centered approach is characteristic of South Asian wellness culture and is very different from the evidence-based framing you would find in a clinical research paper. That said, many of the core recommendations, mindfulness meditation, gratitude practice, physical movement, and nature exposure, do have genuine scientific support, particularly in the areas of stress reduction and emotional regulation. What is worth noting for a critical audience is that this article blurs the line between spiritual guidance and clinical health advice without clearly distinguishing between the two. The connection to Gina Sicko, MS, lends an air of medical authority to what are, ultimately, general lifestyle suggestions. For everyday readers, that framing can be powerful and motivating. For health professionals or researchers, it raises important questions about evidence standards, institutional accountability, and how spiritual wellness is communicated within a healthcare context. Story 3, I've never used this common cue when I teach yoga. Here's why. Our third article today is actually an event listing, a community breathwork session called Sunrise Ocean Reset, hosted by a practitioner named Verena from a wellness brand called Innermare. The event takes place at Scarborough Beach in Perth, Western Australia, across 3 early morning sessions in May and June of 2026. For just $15 Australian, participants get a 1-hour experience that combines guided breathwork, meditation, ceremonial cacao, and an optional dip in the ocean to close things out. On the surface, this might seem like a niche local wellness event, but it actually tells a much bigger story about where community health and wellness culture is heading. The session's explicit focus on nervous system regulation and emotional reset reflects the growing influence of polyvagal theory, a neuroscientific framework about how the nervous system responds to safety and threat in grassroots wellness communities. Language like grounding, regulated, and emotional reset is no longer confined to therapy clinics. It is now the everyday vocabulary of wellness events at the beach. The inclusion of ceremonial cacao is also worth noting. Cacao ceremonies have roots in Mesoamerican indigenous traditions and have been adopted widely in modern wellness culture as a ritual opening to breathwork or meditation sessions. Paired with an optional ocean swim, itself connected to the cold water immersion trend popularized by figures like Wim Hof. This event packages several different wellness trends into one accessible, affordable morning experience. At $15 a session, the price point is deliberately accessible. Comparable breathwork classes in Australian cities often cost 2 to 4 times as much. This reflects a real movement toward community-scale, democratized wellness, meeting people where they are, literally at the beach, rather than in high-end studios. That is meaningful. Events like this may serve as an informal mental health touchpoint for people who are not accessing formal psychological services. The main caveat is that no credentials are listed for the host, and the safety protocols around the ocean swim are minimal. As community wellness continues to grow, questions about training, accountability, and safe practice will become increasingly important. Story 4, 15-minute yoga to relax and release shoulder tension. This yoga journal practice guide offers a focused 15-minute sequence to relieve stress stored in the shoulders, a common area of physical tension linked to chronic stress. The sequence is practical, accessible, and grounded in the somatic connection between emotional stress and physical holding patterns. Story 6. Exercise's proven stress-busting benefits include better sleep. The Sacramento Bee reports on the American Psychiatric Association's recognition of yoga, Tai Chi, and mindfulness meditation as research-backed practices for mental health, particularly for calming the nervous system and improving sleep. The article contextualizes these practices within broader evidence on exercise and stress reduction. Story 7. Mindfulness-Based Resilience Training, MBSR, Randomized Controlled Trial for Healthcare Workers. A randomized controlled trial demonstrates the effectiveness of mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, for stressed healthcare professionals, combining meditation, yoga, and body scan practices. The research provides clinical evidence for MBSR as a structured intervention for stress and resilience in high-pressure environments. Story 8. 3 breathwork practices for nervous system regulation. This practical guide outlines 3 specific breathwork techniques designed to guide the body from a stress response into a regulated, parasympathetic state. The content addresses nervous system regulation through intentional breathing, making it accessible for daily self-care and anxiety relief. Story 9, Beyond Breath, Sky Breath Meditation Workshop, Science-Backed Breathwork. This workshop introduces sky breath meditation, a technique reportedly referenced by Harvard Medical School and the International Journal of Yoga for its mental health benefits. The practice is described as effective for calming anxiety, releasing stress, and supporting immunity through structured breathwork. Story 10, Concentration, Focus, and Memory, How to do Hakini Mudra Yoga for Concentration. This yoga-focused post explains Hakini Mudra and pranayama techniques as tools for sharpening concentration, improving memory, and enhancing mental clarity. It connects traditional yogic hand gestures and breathwork directly to cognitive benefits, offering practical techniques for focus improvement. Story 11, Spiritual Wellness, Top 5 Daily Practices for Inner Peace and Balance. This guide outlines 5 daily spiritual wellness practices aimed at cultivating inner peace and emotional balance, presented in an accessible and non-dogmatic format. It covers mindfulness, meditation, and contemplative rituals as tools for sustained well-being. Story 12, Sunrise Ocean Reset Community Breathwork Session for Nervous System Regulation. A community breathwork and meditation session focused on nervous system regulation, grounding, and emotional reset in an outdoor beach setting. The guided practice combines breathwork with meditation for a morning reset experience, emphasizing nervous system health.